Expecting an apology, acknowledgement, or closure from someone who lacks emotional intelligence is like staring at a dry well and expecting water. It's doing the same thing over and over while expecting a different result. This isn't just exhausting, it's the definition of insanity. According to Psychology Today, individuals with low emotional intelligence often lack the capacity for empathy and self-reflection. They are fundamentally unable to validate your pain because they cannot even perceive their own role in causing it. Welcome back to Light and Shadow. That was quite the quote today. I'm your host, JF. Before we dive in, I want to offer a massive thank you to everyone watching, liking, and sharing. Your comments, some of them heart-wrenching, paragraph-long stories, have deeply moved me and put my own life into perspective. I aim to respond as quickly as possible to offer answers. And I know some of you have been fighting to escape a narcissist for years and have already tried everything I've suggested. To you, I offer my deepest empathy. I may not always have the perfect solution, but I will always be here to offer a listening ear and my unwavering support. So again, thank you. And if you like this podcast, share the word, share the podcast. The more people I can help, the happier I am. Enters the magician. Today, we continue through the heaviness of healing. I'm sharing my own journey, specifically how we can use the archetype of the magician to find our way out of the fog. In spirituality, the magician is the master of transformation. He is the cosmic architect who bridges the gap between the spiritual or inner and the material outer worlds. He doesn't just wish for change. He manifests it through focus, intellect, and willpower. Key aspect of the magician archetype, master of manifestation. The magician utilizes the fourth element to turn potential into reality. Elements are fire, which represents spirit. Water, representing emotion. Air represents intellect. Earth represents physicality. Bridge between worlds. They connect higher consciousness with physical reality, often depicted as pointing one head to heaven and the other to earth. Wisdom and insight. They are keeper of esoteric hidden knowledge, acting as guides, mentors, or psychotherapists to the soul. Transformation, alchemy. They possess the ability to transform inner states, emotion, thoughts into outer results, turning lead into gold. Picture this. It's early in the morning hush. A man sits alone in his apartment, the weight of the world resting heavy on his shoulders. Outside, the sun begins its slow ascent, casting muted shadows against aging brick. Inside, he's searching his soul for something more than routines and expectation. He's caught in the noise of modern existence, where productivity is prized over presence and surface success over inner fulfillment. In this quiet moment, he yearns for a guide and the magician. Rooted in Jungian psychology and richly elaborated by scholars such as Robert Moore and Douglas Gillett, he is a guardian of insight, a healer, catalyst, and a transformation facilitator. He is not a conjurer of parlor tricks, but the keeper of ancient wisdom and creative intelligence. At his best, the magician harmonizes intellect with intuition, emotion with insight, and practicality with spirituality. He reminds men that wholeness is not found in dogmatic adherence to a single way of being, but in the courageous integration of many parts, body, mind, heart, and spirit. This exploration into the magician speaks directly to the heart of positive primal masculinity. It invites men from all walks of life, fathers, sons, entrepreneurs, artists, warriors, peacemakers, to reclaim a fuller version of themselves. By nurturing the magician within, men cultivates a more authentic, compassionate, and wise masculinity that transcends brittle stereotypes and shallow ideals. Now, this is what I did after I did all my learning, after I did my healing. I turned to the magician. I started my podcast. Historical and mythological roots of the magician. The magician's lineage run deep from Paleolithic shamans to Hermetic philosophers of the ancient Mediterranean across cultures. These figures were revered as bridges between worlds, Those able to interpret dreams, commune with spirits, and reveal hidden truth. Indigenous shamans, for instance, entered trance state to heal ailment or guide their community through spiritual crisis. Illuminating the invisible dynamics that shapes human life and embracing alchemy as both a physical and spiritual practice. Transforming the lead of ordinary consciousness into the gold of higher understanding. That's another thing that I did as well. I transformed the lead of my emotions, meaning when everything went down, when everything crashed around me. I took that negative energy, all of it, and I turned it into my purpose. I changed my mindset. I took all that energy that I was receiving on the negative side, and I turned it into learning, and learning turned into healing, and healing turned into purpose. I alchemized bad energy into good energy. It's not magic. It's a state of mind. Mythological lore exemplifies the archetype capacity for transformation and counsels. Merlin, wise and enigmatic, guided King Arthur through the tribulation of leadership, while Odin sacrificed his eye for knowledge, embodying the magician's willingness to endure hardship for greater wisdom. The magician, across these diverse contexts, is not merely an erudite scholar, but an active participant in the world's continual unfolding. He dares to venture into the unknown, distill meaning from complexity, and returns with insights that uplifts and renew. The magician's role in positive masculinity. In contemporary culture, where many men struggle beneath pressures to appear unvulnerable and unfeeling, the magician provides a vision of masculinity defined not by brute force or emotional avoidance, but by depth, adaptability, and creative intelligence. Wisdom keeper. The magician honors knowledge not as a blunt instrument, but as a subtle and evolving resource. He prioritized continuous learning, seeking truth in philosophy, science, art, and spirituality, integrating these domains to navigate modern complexity with insight. That's another thing I've learned to do. When I say look at things from different angles, this is what I'm talking about seeking truth in philosophy, science, art, and spirituality. Looking for a problem philosophically, scientifically, through arts, or through spirituality. It takes a little longer to think about things when you do that, but you know what? You get all angles, and you most likely will have a much better answer, solution, course of action than you would ever have when you only look at things from one angle. Healer. Emotional intelligence forms the cornerstone of the magician's compassionate approach. He recognizes that suppressed fears and sorrows can be calcified into rigid armor, so he encourages open-hearted healing. Studies link emotional awareness to improve mental health, stronger relationship, and deeper fulfillment. And that's another thing I did. I took all that negative energy, and while I was learning, while I was integrating everything with my emotional intelligence, that's when I was able to transmute some of that energy into an armor. Because with knowledge comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes understanding. And when you understand something, it can't touch you anymore. Hence the armor. Initiator. Just as shamans led rites of passage, the magician guides men through life. Its critical threshold, adolescence into adulthood, singlehood into fatherhood, crisis into renewal. He instilled the confidence that even pain and uncertainty can become fertile ground for growth and purpose. And this is where I took all my knowledge and I turned it into this podcast, Light and Shadows, because my life was just that, stuck between life and shadows at that time. And that's how I got my podcast. Yin and Yang. I'm the light, she's the shadows. We're two people connected, but we're opposites. Or we're opposites. Let's see, what's this? In a world that often reduces men's worth into what they produce or how they compete, the magician whispers that true greatness also lies in what they understand, transform, and share. Again, my journey. Understanding, transforming, sharing. Illuminating positive primal masculinity. Positive primary masculinity resonates with the fundamental truth of human existence. Connection to nature, reverence for life cycle, and respect for the human journey in all its messiness and magnificence. By integrating the magician, men can reclaim aspects of their primal nature that are wise, nurturing, and visionary rather than destructive or stagnant. A journey into inner wisdom. The magician's gifts emerge through inner work, quiet reflection, contemplative practices, and courageous honesty. Modern neuroscience supports the transformative power of meditation and introspection, showing that such practices enhance emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, and intuitive decision making. Again, this is something that I did. So prior to, in between the learning and prior to the podcast, I spent a lot of time in introspection and looking at the last few years of my life through a different lens and through different viewpoint. And introspection did turn into emotional regulation. It did turn into cognitive flexibility, and it did turn into intuitive decision making. It works. I'm here to tell you. There's practical exercises you can do for that. One example is to find a secluded spot, an armchair, a window, a quiet park bench. Close your eyes and observe your breath for 5 minutes. I don't mean visually, I mean observe your body breathing. Concentrate on your breathing. Breathe deep, exhale deep, and keep your breathing regulated for 5 minutes. Now afterwards, journal. What emotion arose? What insight emerged as you allowed stillness to speak? This exercise invites the magician's presence into your daily life. Over time, these moments of silence and reflection becomes opportunities to integrate the intellectual and the intuitive, forging a more balanced inner landscape. Wisdom, the intellectual foundation and power. The magician's mind is never stagnant. Whether reading a new book, learning a language, or studying philosophy, he thrives on curiosity. Research links lifelong learning to more significant mental health. Beyond amassing facts, the magician synthesizes ideas, translating theory into actionable wisdom. Because I'm autistic, I'm always interested in learning. Always. I'll look up something just because I'm not sure of the meaning, and I'll spend like half an hour looking it up, absorbing everything I can about it. That's just me. I'm very inquisitive. I've never stopped learning, even though I learn different. I adapted to my type of learning, and now when I learn. Next, mindfulness, reflection, and self-awareness. The magician is not just a scholar, but also an observer of his inner workings. Mindfulness and reflection sharpen his awareness of bias, fear, and limitations. Rather than hiding from these truths, he leverages them as opportunities for growth. Sometimes we're scared of what we lack, or shadows. But if you do your work and you integrate your shadows, you won't be scared anymore. You'll just do it and watch your life improve. I'm telling you. A practical exercise for this is to select a challenging concept or a philosophical dilemma, a scientific mystery, or an unresolved personal question. Study it from multiple angles. Engage in discussions with friends. Reflect in your journal and notice how your understanding evolves. The magician's path teaches that intellectual humility and openness are key to wisdom. One thing that my dad told me when I was younger that always stuck with me, and he told me, I'm intelligent enough to know that I know nothing. And that's probably the wisest thing that man has ever said to me. And I get it. Thank you, Dad. I get it. Never be so arrogant to think that you know everything, because we don't. Even the brightest minds on this planet are wrong sometimes. Never be closed to the idea of learning something. And in this example, when you keep working on something and you get different point of view from yourself and you get different point of view from other people and you keep journaling it, you'll see that your knowledge from that one thing evolved. And it's amazing to watch. And we don't do that often enough. And we don't even realize how our thinking evolves sometimes. We don't. And it's nice to see that you can keep track of how your mind works. Okay, next, transformation, the emotional journey. Healing and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence involves understanding one's feeling, recognizing their impact, and responding skillfully. This is the magician's emotional alchemy, transforming the lead or suppressed rage or grief into the goal of empathy, patience, and understanding. Like I said, that's what I did. Processing grief and embracing changes. Life, inevitably, brings loss of loved ones, dreams, and familiar routine. Rather than denying or numbing these experiences, the magician encourages men to acknowledge their pain and let it teach them something profound. Through my life, I've always, it's pain, whatever. It'll go away. I never faced it. This time, I faced it. on. And I learned quite a bit about it. I learned quite a bit about myself in the process. Numbing your experience doesn't teach you fuck all. And all it does is it brings you down. It lowers your vibration. Numbing your experience is denying the learning that you get from it. And you're doomed to just repeat and repeat and repeat. So you know what? Numbing your experience, whatever way you want to do it, whether it's with alcohol, drugs, whatever, that's not the solution. Yes, it's uncomfortable sitting in your feelings, especially when they're bad feelings, especially when it's pain, shame. The experience is not going to improve it. Facing the experience head on is the only thing that will help you. So think of a painful memory you've been reluctant to face. Write it down step by step and notice the emotional stirs it creates inside of you. Offer yourself compassion. Ask, what insight can I glean from this hardship? How can I integrate this lesson to become more empathetic towards myself and other? In this act of emotional courage, the magician's healing power unfolds. He shows that the darkness we fear may hold the seed of a wiser, kinder self. It sure did for me. Intuition, the spiritual connection. Intuition often emerges from quiet moments of presence when logical calculation falls silent and a deeper currents of the psyche emerge. The magician respects both the rational and the intuitive, recognizing that understanding is not limited to what can be quantified. Spiritual connection and the transcendent. For the magician, spirituality needs not be dogmatic. It can be found in a grove of old trees, in the silence of a dawn sky, or in the hush of one's breathing. Research on spiritual well-being suggests that connecting to something greater than oneself enhances resilience, purpose, and mental health. So spend some time in nature. Go on a forest trail, a riverside path. Leave your phone behind. Observe the pattern of the leaf, the texture of the bark, and the sound of water. Ask yourself what wisdom lies here beyond words. Such practices open the door to the magician's intuition, reminding you that guidance often arises in place uncharted by logic alone. The four aspects of the magician. Consider the magician's four key dimensions. The sage embodies clarity, discernment, and philosophical depth. He pierces through illusion to reveal underlying truth. The alchemist turns suffering into wisdom and hardship into opportunity. He knows that within pain lies growth and potential. The engineer applies his knowledge practically, envisioning solutions for real-world problems. He reminds us that insights must serve life, not remain inert theory. The visionary looks forwards with hope and innovation, imagining futures that nourishes the human spirit rather than diminish it. Balancing these aspects ensure that the magician's wisdom is not isolated. Naturalism, but a living force that enriches relationship, community, and the world. Now, I embody all four of those through my process. The sage, the alchemist, the engineer, and the visionary. The learning, the converting bad to good emotions, and the potential to apply my knowledge by this podcast and by looking forward as a visionary, and imagining futures where people share their light even more and bring a better place for us to live. All four of them. Physical well-being through the magician's lens. The magician understands that mind and body are inseparable. Holistic traditions like yoga, tai chi, and qigong demonstrate how integrating movements with breath and attention reduce stress, improve flexibility, and enhances overall well-being. Biohacking and innovative health practices. Modern biohackers blend ancient wisdom with new technologies, meditation apps, cold therapy, dietary refinement to optimize physical health. Such approaches echo the magician's resourcefulness and adaptability. Practical exercise. Try a brief daily ritual. Perform a simple yoga sequence or a short qigong routine each morning. As you move, focus on a sensation in your body, the flow of your breath, and a subtle change in your mood. Over time, you will feel more grounded and alive, embodying the magician's holistic vision of well-being. Mental and emotional mastery, harnessing the power of the mind. Neurological research confirms mindfulness supports emotional regulation and concentration. By sharpening focus, the magician handles life gracefully rather than haste. And that's why every day I do my mindfulness practice. And it was hard at first to be say with intention. No, I thank you for, I thank the universe for my house. I thank the universe for my siblings. I thank the universe, just thank the universe for what you have. Because you can have something today and it can be all gone tomorrow. So be thankful for what you have. Okay, another thing too for your mental well-being is journaling. Journaling distills thought into insights and fleeting feelings into patterns so we can understand. Combined with a growth mindset, this practice nurtures intellectual and emotional agility, hallmarks of the magician. Set 15 minutes aside every evening to write about your day. You don't have to write your entire day, just, the main things or the things that stuck out to you. It can be something silly, but it stuck out. So look for themes in your emotions, recurring thoughts, or lingering questions when you write. Over weeks and months, this journal maps your inner landscape, helping you refine the magician's tools of wisdom and insight. Healing through awareness. The magician knows that the shadow, as Carl Jung called the hidden aspect of self, contains valuable gifts when acknowledged and integrated. Rather than fearing imperfections, he encouraged compassionate acceptance. Now, this is also what I did when I was doing my healing. I integrated my shadows, my good and my bad. Now I'm balanced between light and shadows. Perfectly balanced. And that's an awesome feeling. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey suggests that the treasure we seek is often hidden in the cave we fear to enter. That's true. The stuff that we fear, the stuff we don't like about ourselves, we don't want to think about it. But that's where you're wrong, because that's the one cave that you need to enter. Yes, it's dark. But you know what? Bring your light. Bring your light. Sit in that cave. Sit in the darkness for a bit, and then look. And then turn your light on. And then look again. And then move through the cave from one position to the other and look at it from a different point of view. That shadow is part of you. And when you learn to accept that this is part of yourself, only then can you start correcting it. That shadow is always going to be there, but you're going to gain control over it. And that's the key point. Getting control over it means getting control over yourself. From ancient mystics to contemporary seekers, accessing higher states of consciousness offer profound insight and a sense of unity with all life. Viktor Frankl argued that finding meaning, even in suffering, elevates the human experience. The magician supports men in discovering unique purposes that transcend shallow measure of success. Money, fame, position, these are fleeting things. If you want to be truly successful, it has to start with you. What makes you feel successful, like truly successful, not money-wise, not in your life successful. That's what you need to work on. The rest will follow. So combined with the other primary masculine archetype, the warrior, the king, the lover, the magician ensures a balanced, mature masculinity. While the warrior embodies courage and discipline, the king embodies order and authority, and the lover embodies empathy and connection. The magician provides insight, adaptability, and innovation. Together, they form a complete tapestry of human potential. No archetype alone defines mature masculinity. Leans too heavily on the warrior and you risk aggression without understanding. Overemphasize the king and you may become rigid and controlling. Overindulge the lover and you might lose direction. The magician's presence harmonizes these energy, ensuring that strength is guided by wisdom, authority is tempered by empathy, and passion is infused with purpose. In order to be a good magician, you have to engage in lifelong learning. Read books across disciplines, attend workshops, remain open to new ideas. Start discussion with, how's the weather? No, that's boring. Start the discussion with, something profound. Don't be afraid. Be the fool like I did, like my show last week. Be the fool. Start something new. Start a new habit. Make learning a priority. Because when we learn, I'm not talking about school learning. I'm talking about life and learn about yourself. We can't learn anything truly until we actually learn who we are and learn about ourselves. So learn that. Learn to learn you. Explore creative outlet. Write, paint, make music. Express the inexpressible. When you have such a strong feeling about something, you can't express it, or you have a hard time expressing it, you lose your voice. Take a creative outlet to express it. It'll take so much weight off your shoulders. Seek mentorship. Learn from those who embody qualities of wisdom and insight. Establish daily or seasonal ritual that anchors your growth. Cultivate curiosity. Balance action with introspection. Find inspiration in a natural world cycle. Silence and grandeur. So, if you imagine the man from the opening scene, initially burdened by confusion and disconnection, he experimented with these tools. He read a book on philosophy. He took up a weekly meditation practice. He journaled about his fears, and he walked in early light, listening to bird songs. Over time, the anxiety that once constricted his chest eased. He began to glimpse patterns in his life and gained the courage to live and to leave an unfulfilling career for one that aligns with his values. He learned to say, "I'm sorry" when he errs, and "I love you" when he means it. In his maturity, he teaches his children not only how to work hard, but also how to wonder, which is something that we forget. We forget to wonder sometimes. We forget to sit in awe of nature, of a beautiful sunset, the appreciation of your spouse, of your children, of your family. We forget. We forget how wonderful it is to have these things. So this is the magician's gift, to help men access their innate capacity for insight, compassion, creativity, and transformation. He invites them to see life as an unfolding tapestry, each thread, intellectual, emotional, physical, spiritual, woven into something beautiful and meaningful. The magician's quiet voice calls men back to themselves in a culture starved for depth and authenticity. He is the wise guide in the cave, whispering that the treasure they seek is already within them, if only they dare to enter, reflect, and emerge reborn. Embracing the magician within. This archetype invites men to know more and be more present, authentic, and connected. By integrating the magician's qualities, men can embark on a journey that leads to greater fulfillment and a more harmonious expression of what it means to be masculine. Joseph Campbell once said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek," and that's true. The shadow side of the magician. When out of balance. So when you lean heavily on one archetype more than another too much, the magician energies manifest as the manipulator or the cynic. In this state, knowledge is used for selfish gain, deception, or to exert control over others through black magic, which I love when they use the term black magic in spirituality. It just means that people are talking badly about you. That's what they call black magic. They say words are magic. So anyway, control over others through black magic or psychological exploitation. That's the downside if you don't keep your archetype in balance. If you don't integrate your shadows, what happens? So anyway, that's it for the magician. This was a long one because there was so much information, and I cut it down like 4 times. It's crazy. But it also explains how I got through my experience. This podcast is me shining my light for all to receive. The message I carefully answers on an almost daily basis is also me shining my light. And even if I only reach and help one of you today, then my goal is achieved. So, share your light with your loved one, your neighbors, your community, your co-workers, and even better, with complete strangers. So thank you for joining me in the shadows today. I hope you enjoyed and learned. As I wish you all love, light, and shadows. Have a good week.